Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to another edition of Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mother Podcast. I'm Ralph Quartucci.
I'm Sean Paul Murphy.
I'm Debbie Murphy.
I'm John Quattrucci.
And I'm Drew Gould.
Okay, everybody. Wojo unfortunately couldn't make it. She's not feeling all right. So she'll be with us next week.
Ralph, where's Brad? I thought Brad would be here.
Yeah, I guess Brad and Wojo show up together. So maybe next time. Drew has brought the movie to the table today. Drew, what movie have you brought?
Yes, today I brought the movie Mud from the year 2012, starring Mathew McConaughey. And it is a coming-of-age story with a lot of interesting wrinkles on that theme, and it has a wonderful cast, and to me it's just a really great American movie.
And came out, you said 2012?
2012.
Here, let me show a trailer, preview, trailer. Who cares what we call it anymore? Doesn't even matter, because I cut it out anyway, and I do what I want.
Galen said it's been here a while. He thinks the last flood did it. There it is.
This boat's ours. Someone's here.
What?
Someone's living in our boat.
You know that guy?
I've never seen him before.
What'd you say, boys? I'm waiting on my girlfriend.
I just can't spend the rest of my life running away with him.
She don't care about nobody but herself. He's stuck off in that island because of her.
Son, have you seen this man?
This river brings a lot of trash down it. You gotta know what's worth keeping and what's worth letting go.
You never said your name.
Mud. You can call me Mud.
We'll try getting this boat in the water.
It's my best shot. I made a list of things we're gonna need.
You boys need to watch yourself. What Mud's into is something you don't want to be involved in.
Keep lying! You hear me, trash? Where is that?
Y'all been good to me. You're the only friends I got out here.
You did it for her? To protect her?
Don't expect any help from me.
We got too much riding on this.
You know you don't know him, right?
What have you been doing?
Everything you told me was a lie!
It's a hell of a thing, ain't it? It's a hell of a thing.
All right. All right.
All right.
Take it away, Drew.
All right, so I picked this movie because I'm actually a really big fan of Jeff Nichols. He's the writer-director of this movie. He's only done 5 movies. This is his 3rd one, and I really couldn't decide if I wanted to do the one he did before this, called Take Shelter with Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain, or the one after this, called Midnight Special with Michael Shannon and Joel Edgerton. Michael Shannon is in all of his movies so far, except maybe his last one, which was Loving, about the Loving interracial marriage case.
Oh,
I think that
I didn't see it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a very powerful, very quiet movie. But this movie, I remember I watched it again last night. It was the first time my wife had seen it, and I just loved the way that it felt. I don't know that much about Jeff Nichols, but I know that this movie is very personal to him. He grew up in Arkansas. It's set in Arkansas on the Mississippi River. It's actually shot in that part of Arkansas as well. And I guess I'm really just a sucker for coming of age stories. My wife watched the movie. She liked the movie, and she said, this is a very Drew movie. And I like, it can have a touch of a fantasy or something like E.T. or Iron Giant. But what I like about it is that it's a coming of age story about a young boy who's becoming a man, and he's interested in the things that men are interested in as opposed to boys, whether it's women or other adult things, except it kind of plays with it. Like, he's very confident. He's not a guy that doesn't know what he wants to do with himself or is afraid of things, but he's not cocky. He's very low key, actually. And I like the way that the movie introduces him to Mud, who is maybe someone he wants to be like. He seems so exotic, and he believes in love and all these other things, and then makes him see that maybe that's not such a good idea. And so I just felt like it was it's a Mark Twain type of story. It's a very American story, and it has a wonderful deep bench of a cast. And I wanted to share it with you guys because it's right in the middle of the Matthew McConaughey's reconnaissance.
Yeah,
when he became sort of respected again, and I would describe it. It's not underrated, but it's definitely underseen. And so I'm glad that I could share with you guys today.
Yeah, I mean, the coming of age, it's funny you're talking about the kid when Matthew McConaughey was the whole, pitch behind this movie or the whole reason to see this, including the director. I didn't see Take Shelter. I saw the Midnight Special. Is that what it was called? Midnight Special?
With the kids running from the couple of his dad. Yep.
Yeah, with Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon, like you said, is in all his movies. I thought he was fantastic in this. He was kind of the comic relief, although he wasn't funny, but he was the one light person in the movie.
Oh, Michael Shannon?
Yeah, with the whole thing with the way he was teaching the kids how to date women. He gave them self-help books. The whole theory behind, Help Me Rhonda, why he plays Help Me Rhonda when he's
right.
It's great stuff. And his relationship with Neckbone, was that his friend? Let's also say we're probably going to spoil this. It came out in 2012, right? It's been around a while.
If you haven't seen it, you can stop listening now, and you should see it. And
yeah, you should see it, but it's been around a while, so we're kind of.
Let me get a second view, so that's always good too.
Going to spoil it a little. I thought the two boys were great. Tye Sheridan was one of the young. I don't know the kid's name who played Neckbone. If he's been in anything else.
I don't think he's had a big career or anything, but Tye Sheridan has gone on to some very big.
Ty's gone to
Ready Player One.
Way to find out.
But I thought the kid playing Neckbone was great, and their relationship, and it seemed real. It was kind of like Stand By Me. That kind of, the kids weren't precocious
exactly
little kids. They were grounded a little bit. Now, yes, Tye Sheridan's character, what was his name?
Ellis.
His whole thing about trying to find love when all this loveless, his parents are getting divorced. He's constantly questioning love. He's trying to be an adult about love, and that's why he tries to hook up with that 17-year-old high school girl, which doesn't go well. His whole infatuation with Mud's relationship with Reese Witherspoon's character.
The Juniper.
His long-lost love, right? But remember, we're rooting for a guy who murdered somebody, too. I mean, Mud, he's on that island because he's hiding, right?
Right.
And only Matthew McConaughey, Matthew McConaughey was doing, you're right, it was right smack in the middle of his reconnaissance. So he had True Detective he was in the middle of, he's Magic Mike. This is all around the same time. Killer Joe.
Lots of great stuff.
Yeah, all that. Dallas Buyers Club, which he won the Oscar, then The Wolf of Wall Street. All this stuff happened while he was. So it's Matthew McConaughey being the Lincoln guy that he's selling the Lincolns now, which, it's just almost a caricature of Matthew McConaughey. But I like the coming of age. I thought it was fascinating. Sam Shepard, great character in there as well, playing, I think, his father.
Well,
no.
That's something we can talk about. Mud is a very unreliable narrator.
Right.
So as he's, I remember the first time I saw the movie, I was thinking, the movie is really, Matthew McConaughey's on the poster, he's the big name, but it's really Ellis's story.
Right.
So I remember feeling like I was in Ellis's shoes and saying, well, is there even a Juniper? How much of this is real? It has that Stand By Me start, like you said, except instead of a body, it's a boat and a tree. And there's this mysterious person. And I remember the first time they meet him on the beach, as he starts to tell them who he is, the camera follows him, and the boys, Mud makes them follow him along the beach. Like he draws them in. And if you remember, that very first scene, we meet him. So they're at that boat at the shore. Right. And they go, somebody's here. Somebody lives on this island. And they walk away. And then they turn around, and he's standing right by their boat fishing. Like he came out of nowhere. Right.
Well, and
that immediately sets up
the footprint stopped. Remember, the footprint stopped.
Yeah. So, but he was a real person, obviously, because things happened in the movie that kind of show that. But anyway, go ahead, keep going. Well, no, the whole idea of you can't really trust what people tell you. That's a big part of growing up, and that it's not necessarily even that people are lying, but why do people say things that they don't seem to mean? Why do people change? Why does a girl accept a bracelet and give you a kiss and smile at you and then act like you're nothing the next day? Like all these different things.
And it really, I don't know, it really put me in Ellis's head. The whole movie was really from his perspective. And I just thought it was just very powerful that way, because you find yourself learning what's true, what's not true, and his major disappointments. That's Jeff Nichols' movies for me. I must be on his emotional wavelength or something, because I feel like I'm feeling what I'm supposed to feel when I'm watching this movie and I'm watching the way the story is told. And so his heart gets broken a number of times, both by his own experience, by the reality of Juniper, by Mud's behavior, and he keeps going. And that's part of growing up.
Yeah, Juniper is the girlfriend, Reese Witherspoon, right?
The long-legged girlfriend.
Yeah, blonde with the
4'2" Reese Witherspoon.
Right.
The tattoos on her.
The tiny shorts make the legs long, I think.
Well, you see the pump she had on?
That's true.
Yeah. Well, it's also, it's like their vision of her too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's talking to the high school girlfriend, him and Neckbone, and they turn and they see Reese Witherspoon walking into the Piggly Wiggly, I think, is the grocery store she's on. And it's kind of their view of her, John. So they see her tall and long-legged.
No, he described her that way. Matthew McConaughey described her that way.
Right.
So when they saw her,
they're seeing the same vision.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying, would you ever describe Reese Witherspoon as long-legged?
Well, I
in a billion years,
I guess.
No.
Sean, did you guys watch this? I assume you're still quiet.
What movie are we talking about? No. Well, first, a little background. Something about this director always kind of leaves me a little uneasy. I started to watch Take Shelter, but I was like, I don't know. It was late at night, and it was sort of like, I don't know if I like where this movie is going. And when this movie came out, it was a small film and had a lot of big stars in. I thought for sure, it was going to go much darker than it did. That's why I didn't see it in the theater. So I mean, I liked Midnight Special. I did actually watch that one all the way through as well. So, Debbie, what are you thinking?
Well, first off, Drew, thank you for recommending this film, because I would have never watched this.
Great, thank you for saying that.
But this movie is so well written and so quiet. It's a really thinking person's film. You just feel like you're from the region after a while. And I just loved it. I loved the story. I loved the adventure, the Odyssey, sort of like, it was like the Odyssey. And, the very end of it, and it was so unpredictable. I didn't think that he was going to make it,
Right.
especially when when Ellis fell in the snake pit. That was troubling, and then for him to survive and have such heroism by McConaughey. And then at the end, when it just reminded me, the last scene was it reminded me of the African Queen. And, they come into the open, it was so narrow in that mud, in the mud. And it just was so affirming for, to get something, get out of the mud, because he did. His life was, pretty much, those people lived there, they didn't ask to be born on the river and the Mississippi, and no opportunity. Poor, the parents were poor. He had a nice room with a nice cool lamp in there, but other than that, it was, they were poor and living as they can, what they were dealt with in life. And it just shows that Matthew, he got out into free open water, and it was hopeful. It was like really sweet. I loved it. I love this movie so much.
I think that's great. I think that your insight about the way that it ends, I remember early in the movie when he's talking with the boys, they keep looking up and seeing these birds flying. Mm-hmm. And it's like you just feel those birds can go wherever they want. And we can't. Or if we're young, I don't know if we can. And there's so much of this movie that just pulls you along. And the way that it ends, as you said, opening up like that, especially because, I remember thinking, are these people going to die? Is this snake bite going to kill them? is Matthew McConaughey dead? And it could have been a lot darker, like I think Sean feared.
I really feared it was going to be very dark.
I think that's a reasonable guess, and it's set in this nature that does have real dangers, and real dangers can kill you. So,
John?
I guess I didn't think about this as deeply as you all thought about this. I liked it, but it was very strange to me. It did remind me of Stand By Me. I thought the kid Ellis played it really well. I hated his line delivery because it was like this the whole time. It was all like this, like Forrest Gump almost. The only time was when he got mad at the girl in the car, and he raised his voice. But every other time, he
yelled at McConaughey. Yeah, Mud at the end as well.
Yeah. Okay, that scene too. I thought the snake bite was foreshadowed throughout the whole movie. You knew that was coming a mile away. Sure. But for me, the thing that I wasn't sure about was Matthew McConaughey, even though he killed this guy, was he a good guy? Or was he the bad guy that everyone was telling the kids to beware? And then my favorite scene in the movie was when the kid got bit by the snake and the way McConaughey dealt with that. Mm-hmm. Wasn't thinking about anything else but saving this kid at his own peril. So that told me right there that Matthew McConaughey wasn't as bad a guy as everybody was saying. And also the scene with Reese Witherspoon when she didn't show up and then was in the bar. I liked that. But it was a strange movie. Like I asked Rosie, she liked it. And I said, well, what'd you like about it? She goes, well, I really like Matthew McConaughey because he takes his shirt off. And she says, he looks just like you. And then, no, she didn't.
Did she really?
No, she didn't. Believe me.
You have better teeth than Mud, don't you?
That's true. And she loved the kid. And I liked the kid's relationship because even though I wasn't crazy about his line readings, it seemed like this was a real friendship of that age, right? I was creeped out about him with the high school girl that she responded. That kind of creeped me out a little bit because he was only 14. And the other thing was he walks into a bar and he's sitting there, for 10 minutes before somebody kicks the 14-year-old kid out. So it was almost like he was doing stuff that a 17-year-old.
Yeah, they're in Arkansas, right?
Right. Well, that's my other thing that I did like about it. At first, I thought it was Louisiana. I had no idea it was Arkansas. Okay. And then when I did a little research, I was like, okay, Arkansas. This was something I had never seen before. And the research I did, they used a ton of people from Arkansas as extras and actually some parts too. And like Joe Don Baker, I really like, and he was he did 3 scenes and did almost nothing.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when Joe Don came into this movie.
Well, he looked so old, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
he looked rough.
I'm like, this is the coolest movie.
Yeah.
Who would have thought to cast Joe Don Baker in that role?
So I thought he'd do more. Frankly, I thought Reese Witherspoon would do more. But I liked it. I wasn't crazy about it. It's not a movie I don't think I would ever watch again. I think it was different. It wasn't what I expected. And even though they kind of telegraphed it, I liked the ending. And I didn't look at it the way Debbie looked at it, but it makes all the sense in the world. He's out of the mud. This is his way out. Everybody thinks he's dead. And Sam Shepard, who I'm a big fan of, especially from The Right Stuff, to see him, I don't know, he died, a few years ago?
And not long ago.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see him knowing that, we're not going to see him anymore because I thought he was really good in it too. So I appreciate it too because it was a movie I never would have saw unless you recommended it. So, but I'm not thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, it's funny until Debbie brought up the snake thing again. It brought me back to what I was feeling as I'm watching the movie, which is everything is foreshadowed and obvious. Okay. Every time Mud looks up at the birds, he's looking up at the birds because they're free. I knew one of the kids was going to get bit by a snake. I actually thought Neckbone was probably going to die in this movie. Yeah, he was going to fall into it, and he was going to, because at one point, Mud throws him a rope saying, put this around your bed. The snakes won't crawl over a braided rope. So I knew somebody was going to get bit by a snake. I knew that he was going to get away. And also the whole treasure hunter idea where Michael Shannon's talking about finding treasures in the river. You just have to know where to look and you find these treasures. Well, they found mud on the river, so that's their treasure. The kids found a treasure.
And he found them.
Oh, so it's like painfully obvious these things they're trying to show, except it's Matthew McConaughey who pulls this stuff off in his sleep. I mean, the guy can play this guy. He's been around since Dazed and Confused. He's probably never had to buy a meal or a drink anywhere he goes from that movie. And then he's had this reconnaissance, and now he can do anything. So he gets away with a lot of stuff like that whole. Okay, so from that moment that he proves it by taking the kid on the motorcycle, and that scene's pretty cool, especially when he's jumping on the boat and he jumps off the boat with that whole scene. But it also led to this quick, rapid succession of all the stuff coming together, including the big shootout on at the houseboat.
Right.
Where it's like 9-10 people are dead and shot in that thing.
And it's quite violent.
Yeah, it's brutal. And Sam Shepard does a great job in that one. But it's just like all this stuff happened. That third act is just bing, 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 bing to get to the end. And that's why I was wondering if it's his dad, because he comes down, Sam Shepard comes down the boat and says, son, wake up. You got to take a look at what's going on.
But the dialogue, he said he's the closest thing to a father I ever had.
I understand when he said son, I know he could just be saying son, like just, hey, son, get up.
Well, I'm sure he thought of him as his son.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think what the movie is saying is it doesn't really matter.
Right. Biological.
Family is how you behave. And Sam Shepard basically called him on his bullshit, yelling at him on the beach, which is something maybe a father should do if Mud is your son. And then he killed for him to protect him.
Right.
Even though you could make the case that Mud got himself into that situation. But I mean, Mud tells Ellis in the bedroom, he sneaks in, which is a very weird inversion. Usually it's like the kids are the same age and the boys sneak in the room or something. But he sneaks into the room and he basically tells him, I'm not a good guy.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, he's good enough. That, like you said, that snake bite scene, he just goes. And like he doesn't even really think of anything, and then he realizes he's in the clinic, and everybody's looking at him.
That's a great point.
Whoa! But he still took the time to go and wave at Juniper.
Yeah, but did you actually not? Did you guys not expect him to do that if that happened?
Just the way it was done.
Okay.
I mean, you knew there was going to be something. You just knew that was going to happen. He was going to turn out to be a good guy, however it was, even though he shot that guy's son. The whole scene. Joe Don Baker was pretty sad in this movie because all his sons were killed. In that scene. And the other scene with that Joe Don Baker's son, where he's first with Reese Witherspoon beating her up in the hotel room. And he turns and he smacks this 14-year-old kid in the face. And nothing, I mean, that's just, okay, no big deal. The kid's got a black eye from a 45-year-old guy. That's okay. I mean, is Arkansas that, relaxed? I don't get it. But still played well. Reese Witherspoon, those were real bruises she had. Did you read that on IMDb?
She was in an accident.
She came to the set. That's pretty cool. Not cool that she got hurt, but just cool that they used it.
Method.
And her legs did look super long. I didn't know she was 4'3" or whatever.
She's like nothing. She had shoes on this high.
I was also told that her wig was excellent and very authentic to the character.
That was a wig?
Oh, I didn't even know that was a wig.
Because we don't know that stuff. So I was told by...
And her pumps definitely worked, too. Those were good. Those were working in the Piggly Wiggly.
You like those, Ralph?
I did. I guess I...
Wait, Sean, what are you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say I agree with Ralph. I don't like to do that much, but
wait a minute. Oh, shoot. Hang on. We got to go the other angle.
Oh, God. All this work on these angles. All right. Look at that. The bell cam.
In a sense, I think a lot was telegraphed. I thought things went too slow, and then they went too fast.
Well, they had to catch up at the end.
But, I mean, on one hand, I like the pace, but then it's sort of like, oh, yeah, we got to end this. But I really did like this movie. I found the relationship between the kids very authentic.
Yeah.
That's a certain kind of relationship I was in with some of my friends, and varying degree of willing to do something, willing to break the law.
And they weren't smart ass kids like Stranger Things or It.
Right.
The kids in It, right? They're just a little too smarmy, a little too adult. These guys were they seemed completely natural in their element and their age, right? They weren't above.
They were simple children.
Yeah. And they were hardened, too, from their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Compared to, all the high school kids that they kept showing. Yep. The groups of kids.
Yeah.
So they had a little edge to them, but they had a good bond between. I thought,
and they were stealing things.
This was his first movie, I think. is what I read. He was really good, I thought.
Tye Sheridan?
Yeah. No, the other guy. The guy who played Neckbone.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good.
No, he was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because, I mean, this movie, I went back and I looked at some reviews, and a lot of reviews, they name-check Terrence Malick, and they talk about how it's Malickian cinematography, blah, blah, blah. And I think Terrence Malick movies, for the most part, except for one of them, they are totally gorgeous, and they are, to me, totally inert. Like, they are just a slog for me. And the way that this beautiful golden photography and the shots of the nature, it just absorbed me. Like I said to myself when I recommended this movie, I said, it's not a kind of movie where I'm going to say, you get it or you don't get it or something like that. It's going to be, did it draw you in? Did it absorb you? Because it felt so real and it felt so authentic, and that's to the performances. The screenplay is amazing. It's the directorial choices, the subtle things like the way that people are pulled apart and together. I mentioned on the beach, the camera, the camera is the boys and you follow him along the beach. That scene you mentioned where they get dragged out of the bar, I love how they get dragged out of focus. The camera stays locked on where they were, and they get torn out of that and turned into fuzz and thrown out because they don't belong there. And one of the other things that I liked about it, it is predictable. You know where the story's going to go. That's, to me, part of what makes it a great sort of American Mark Twain type of coming-of-age story. But it also does things that it sets up things that I think are going to happen that then don't happen. Like, you kind of think, wow, his father's going to be this abusive, maybe drunken, awful person. He's not. Ray McKinnon is a wonderful performance. You think the movie's going to be about his family falling apart and everything is awful. And it's hard, but the way that they're together when he was in bed recovering from the snake bite, the way the movie ends, his parents have split up, they've lost that boat home, but life is going to go on. I can relate to that. My parents divorced and life went on. And that last part where Ellis, sort of smiles at the girl across the parking lot.
The three girls.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And they were all older than him, too.
Well, that doesn't matter in Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, he knows what
the cinematography.
He likes. It's such a hopeful movie in the end, and I don't know that every character, based on what they did, deserves that. I mean, Mudd is still a murderer. He's a liar. He did use a pair of 14-year-old boys to hide out.
What did he lie about? What did Mudd lie about?
He lied about the true love and all these things like Juniper's waiting for me, all this kind of stuff. He knew. I believe Sam Shepard when Sam Shepard said she's constantly going back and forth with him. He's loved her since he was basically Ellis's age.
So he's right, though. Mudd did love her.
Yeah.
No, Mudd loved her, but Juniper wasn't waiting for him, and they were going to go off together because he knew it was going to happen again. He just didn't want to admit it. He didn't want to.
Well, part of it is his relationship wasn't the perfect thing he talked about. Obviously, there's a lot of history there that was not talked about.
Yeah.
And that's why they wave at the end. Reese and him wave. Juniper and him just kind of wave and say, okay, see you later. You talked about the cinematography. Yes, Arkansas was beautiful.
Yep.
The way he shot it. Then you show the strip malls, which has a whole different feel. And then you talk about that last scene. He ends up in the new apartment. He goes, he said to Neckbone, come to my new apartment, set up my room. And he sees those three girls, and the smile on his face is like, okay, this is paradise too. This is good as well. Whole different feel. He grew up a little bit. He knows what's next. All right. Right, and he'll become Mudd and be the cool dude in the apartment building. Probably.
You're gonna get one of those shirts.
Yeah, the high school girls will stay the same age. You know how it is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I think as the writer, the director only made one mistake. It's sort of like I think he only dropped the ball once, and that was like, I mean, if you've seen enough movies, everything's predictable.
Sure.
Because you once you've seen enough. But it's when he said, "You've never done anything for anybody," and then literally 1 minute later, he's in the snake pit. You know what I mean?
That's the contrivance.
That was unnecessary. That line was unnecessary. The audience already got that. To me, that was sort of like a line. If I were the editor of the film, I would have said, you don't need this. You're beating them over the head. The whole film leads up to that.
Well, I didn't
revelation about it.
It's like Chekhov's gun, right? That idea that if you show something, you have to use it in the
We showed the snakes.
That's what I'm saying. That first time we see the snakes, that's when
they kept showing that pit over and over again.
But the very first time they hung on it and hung on, I said, okay, someone's going to get bit. And then it was enough for McConaughey to talk about snakes being on the island and how he got bit once. I don't need to see that pit of snakes to know.
Well, that's not what bothered me. What bothered me was the kid just outright stating what was going to happen. You don't do anything for anybody. If he'd have said that 20 minutes earlier, but to me, it's sort of like it happened. He says it, and literally 1 minute later, McConaughey's helping him, giving back.
And that triggers the whole third act anyway. That triggers the whole everything.
I did, I also feel like that violence was sort of like the reward to the audience for sticking with a character film for so long. Well,
it definitely surprised me the way that went down. I was not expecting that. I thought they were going to get him some other way, but when they went after that house and started just pumping shots into it, I was shocked by that. But again, the way McConaughey played it in that instance and with the snake bite, his first instinct was to protect the kid without even thinking about it. Because when he was in the clinic, once they took the kid away, the look on his face was, what did I just do?
Right.
It was, I saved the kid, but look what the position I just put myself in. And when he crept into the room, his first instinct was put the kid under the bed to protect him.
Yeah, but he's the reason the kid was in peril. Because he came back to the house to go. He went back to the house to go in the window and talk to the kid.
But to say goodbye.
Right, but he put the kid in peril. He had rangers or whoever those guys were, mercenaries.
They were mercenaries.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is,
I understand what you're saying.
For him to be a bad guy, right? That's
very good. He was protecting the kid.
You don't know this guy, and he did it almost on instinct. Like the way he jumped on that boat with the kid in his arms.
Right.
I just love that scene and the way he played.
That's the whole point. He's the hero. But
Debbie, what are you saying?
Okay, I love this movie, but there was one scene that I just did not think it belonged, and it was those mercenaries. They're all in the hotel room.
Oh,
and they all get down, and he says, "Bow your heads." No.
I could definitely see that.
Come on, no.
I could definitely see that.
Why is that? Because they're praying before they go out and kill people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an imprecatory prayer.
Isn't vengeance in the Bible?
Yeah.
What did he say?
What did David say? Please slay my enemies. The Bible is filled with
scene that got me, the scene that hit me the most was Joe Don Baker getting that call at the end. And when he hears,
he's dead.
You don't hear it, but you know that he's hearing that your other son is dead now too. And he puts that phone down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one that, he set the whole thing up. It's what are you going to do? But I just feel like this whole thing was heading towards McConaughey being the hero. That was going to happen. It was going to happen. But if you break it down, none of that would have happened without him killing the guy in the first place.
Right.
And those kids never would have been in peril. I mean, so yeah, of course he's very protective. He's going to be the hero at the end.
You
knew he was going to get away.
You're missing my point. The
I'm
way they kept describing him, you don't know who he is, blah blah blah. So you weren't 100% sure, because even though you knew the snake bite was coming, how is he going to react to it? And the way he reacted was maybe for him out of character. But that's the relationship he had with that kid.
I love that he made the deal with the kid that he'd give him the gun when the boat was done. He didn't give him the bullets.
I never said nothing about bullets.
And the boat was representing escape. I mean, it's pretty on the nose.
Well,
another thing too I loved about the movie is the lucky shirt. He said, "You can have my lucky shirt." He goes, "I don't want your lucky shirt."
He put it on when he took him on the boat.
Ellis doesn't need luck.
I want to know, in that scene, he's running in the woods. He rips the shirt off the tree, and somehow it's buttoned 2 seconds later.
It's a new shirt. Maybe he pulled it over his head and it was already
I'm just saying.
How
he did that.
Maybe it is a fantasy.
I liked that Joe Don Baker scene with it's so weird. I mean, it's like hitmen watching cartoons or something.
Right.
The reason I like that scene is because that Joe Don Baker scene, which is weird with the hitmen watching the cartoons and then being told, turn it off and stand up and all that kind of stuff. That's one of the few scenes that is not anything that Ellis would see. Like, he saw them outside of the hotel, but I think that scene is important for the audience because, again, you don't really know what Mudd is telling you that's true or not. I mean, if he murdered a guy, but he murdered the guy because the guy beat up the love of his life and all that kind of stuff.
That's
what I'm saying. But what you see in that scene is that these people are in real danger.
Yeah, but I have mixed feelings about that.
Genuinely going to try and kill him.
There's a scene on the houseboat where the son who hit Ellis in the hotel room.
Yeah.
They're all at that thing, and they've got neck bone. They've got neck bone, and they're starting to shoot everybody. And at one point he says to this guy, let him go. Let the kid go.
Right.
So it's like those guys are not bad guys either. They're just avenging their brother. Right. They have a code.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to hurt the kid. I know he punched Ellis,
but a house filled with 3 innocent people.
While they were going after Mud, I know. It's a complex film, I guess, more complex than I thought.
You know what movie this reminded me of in terms of the
Die Hard?
The vibe of it? A little bit, but Die Hard 2 really because of the boat.
It's a Christmas movie.
Did you guys ever see Blue Ruin?
Yes.
Ruin?
That's a movie about a guy who gets out of prison and wants to get revenge on the man who put him in prison, destroyed his life, destroyed his family. Except the guy, it's a wonderful performance. The guy who wants to get revenge is a schlub.
Yeah.
Who's the lead in it?
I don't know his name. He was also in The Green Room.
Right, he's in Green Room.
Same director.
He's in The Hunt. I'm totally blanking on his name. I'm sorry, but that sort of it just felt like real people.
It's really good.
Real danger, and I think what you were saying earlier, John, I agree with you. Is that good or bad? When it's needed, Mud didn't think for himself, of himself first. Like if that story he told about how he was bitten before, and he can't be bitten again. If that's true that happened, and if it's true he can't be bitten again. That didn't keep him from jumping into the snake pit, throwing them off the kid. Like his inclination is to be a decent person.
Right.
Well, the whole reason he's on the island is he killed someone that was hurting his girlfriend.
Right.
I mean, that started with him.
Yeah,
started him essentially doing the right thing.
Right.
Albeit.
How did he get on the island?
Or how did he get the bread?
That's true. He may have had a different boat.
I like a little background, you know what I mean? Just a little.
No, we don't like backstory.
I liked it when he was standing over the snake pit and said, "Snakes, why does it have to be snakes?"
They might as well have done that. Check off snake. So, yeah. So overall, good. Anything else before we rate this and bring Al on?
It was, Debbie, I like your description. It was a very quiet movie up until the last 10 minutes. It was a very quiet movie. So if you're looking for a movie that's going to bowl you over, this isn't like that, you know. But I will say, even though I wasn't crazy about it, I have to say that it kept my interest. I wanted to see how it was going to end. So I guess, you know, and my wife loved it. So.
Well, I would just say, you know, this movie is about, you know, stories that people tell. And in some ways, the biggest lies are the ones that Mud tells himself about what his life is and who he is. I mean, I can understand it. I'm sure he feels quite noble, you know, the reason that he did that he killed that man. But, you know, he's putting off this true love is real thing that this little kid, not that little, but that this kid really believes. I mean, Ellis believes in love, you know, like Wonder Woman or something. He believes in love. And Mud is this guy who's living that life. But Mud is, I think you could call him a big liar without that being the reason that he's a bad person. Because I don't think that he is a bad person.
It's
but
funny.
Ellis
I took
an experience with a real human being that's not only this or only that. And again, that's just all part of growing up.
I took this as love is the problem. Love is the lie.
But Ralph, I mean, you're really going by. I mean,
I'm just saying that
deep
could
inside
be
yourself
why it hit me a certain way.
Come
because
up with that.
Every relationship he had, his father's telling him, "Love didn't work with me and your mother. We don't know where it died. It just died." The girlfriend, the 17-year-old girl who he thinks she's in love with him, and she's reciprocating, kisses him. She takes the bracelet and then spurns him like that. Love is no good. The love lie that Mud's telling about this beautiful woman. I mean, love is all kind of, it's a story people tell that isn't real, except present company excluded, of course. But
I don't, first of all, I think that's a horrible interpretation
That's maybe it's my
obviously
what I took out of it.
You are coming from a very, very dark place about love.
Maybe, perhaps, but that's where I was coming from when I saw this film.
Love is beautiful.
I also knew the kid was going to get bit by a snake. I just knew it. I just didn't know the kid.
He loved the snake.
Our hearts.
What was that, Deb?
What?
Ralph, you're breaking our hearts.
No, the problem is I like love. I do. I don't think it's real.
Ralph,
look, I think movies are.
Is it love that you love? I'm not sure about that.
I'm a romantic at heart. It just never works out.
Love is a rose, but you better not pick it.
Anyway, doesn't matter. My
wife's name is Rose. Be careful.
What they are. I think movies are what they are, but I think it's legitimate to bring what you personally bring to them.
Well, that's what you do when you watch a film. You bring whatever you're feeling. Yeah.
No matter how
and I could be feeling differently a week from now and have a whole different take on it.
How sad talking about love as not being real. How sad that is.
Tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's better to love and lost than never to have loved at all.
Well, at least we'll have Al cheering us up soon.
So,
that'll bring the room right down. All right, yeah. Let's end on.
What's your rating?
Al.
Sean, what did you rate this?
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
2 Yippee-Ki-Yays. John.
I'm gonna say that it's like a Yippee-Ki-May, between Yippee-Ki-May and Yippee-Ki-Yay.
All right. I say Yippee-Ki-Yay. I liked it. Now, again, it was predictable. By the way, Michael Shannon in this film, fantastic. I like to see him do a little light once in a while. Like, have you seen Knives Out?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did a great job in that.
I love that movie.
A little comedy.
He wasn't. I mean, you say he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
I thought he was great. I loved.
He was okay. It's like I saw a heading for this. It said Reese Witherspoon was magnificent. Really? She was magnificent in this movie? I thought the kids were better than the adults.
I'm saying how I appreciated Michael Shannon in the film. So
I liked that there were some characters that didn't have a lot of scenes, but I think they did a lot with them.
Yes.
And Michael Shannon,
like his father.
Yeah, Ray McKinnon
is an
incredible actor. It's funny because so many actors are my favorite actors, and I watched the movie and I was like, oh, I want more. I want more Sarah Paulson. I want more Michael Shannon, all that kind of stuff. And that's good. I mean, if you leave them wanting more, that's another execution that I think is good.
I can't.
Michael Shannon was in this movie 5 minutes more. I think one of the kids would have died.
I can't wait to put on Help Me Rhonda.
It's a more upbeat coming of age in the South story than Sling Blade, say. But I think it's in that kind of universe. And
it was definitely a slice of life you don't normally see.
I mean, this movie was compared a little bit on one review I watched to Kill a Mockingbird. Same idea, right? Where you get someone in the town that nobody really knows.
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to bring Al on. Uncle Al's movie pile.
That's right.
See that?
Thank you. Thank you for the professionalism.
I'm doing the best I can. Okay, Al, welcome. What do you got for us today?
Today I will be talking about a 1988 film called Deadbeat at Dawn. Right here. Now, I recently saw this for the first time on The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs on Shudder. Go check that out if you have not been keeping up with that. But when I saw this movie just like absolutely blew me away. And I had to like go out and buy this movie. It's, if you watch a lot of trash cinema, you're always kind of, what's that?
We haven't. That's why you're here.
Oh, right. Well, if you're like me and you watch a lot of trash cinema, you're always looking for a diamond in the rough that you can like really connect with, and it pushes your buttons in the right way. And this is a film that really did it for me. So I was just like absolutely blown away by it. So Deadbeat at Dawn, this is a gritty DIY 80s action film. The main character is Goose, who is played by Jim Van Bieber, I believe. He's the actor, writer, and director.
I'm just saying, writer, actor, director is usually a bad comment.
What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
Nothing in this film.
Ask Kevin Costner. That went pretty good.
So
go ahead.
So Goose is the gang leader of the Ravens, and he is currently feuding with another gang called the Spiders, whose their leader is Danny, played by Paul Harbour. There's a big gang fight in a Dayton cemetery where there's knife fights, karate, and all kinds of good fighting and action. And once the fighting is done, Goose's girlfriend, Christy, convinces him to leave the gang. So after he's successfully left the Ravens, his cash flow has dwindled a bit, and he needs to make one final drug deal to put the past behind him. When, unbeknownst to Goose, Danny orders his minions, Bone Crusher and Steve McQueen, to murder Goose's girlfriend, Christy. While Goose is out doing his drug deal, Christy is brutally murdered with a set of golf clubs. And so, after this occurs, Goose embarks on a downward spiral where he goes to a trash compactor and then lives with his heroin-addicted father for a bit. So, on the verge of suicide, he's coerced to rejoining the Ravens and working alongside the Spiders to steal $100,000 from the government. And once that job is complete, Goose is ready for revenge. The film ends in an orgy of blood, nunchucks, and killer stunts. So what I love about this film, it is the ultimate indie film. Van Bieber quit film school and used the remainder of his school loans to fund the production that went on for 5 years. This is like a quintessential auteur movie almost, because he's like persevered and had a singular vision to make this film. This thing is raw and vicious. It opens with an attempted sexual assault, as any other grindhouse and exploitation movie does. And there's fighting, there's stabbing, there's drug deals. It's insane. There you go.
Something seriously wrong. That guy's got a McConaughey vibe going.
That's a quiet movie like Mud.
That guy's got a McConaughey vibe going. Looks good. Really, why do you watch these things? Seriously.
All right.
I don't know. I just enjoy this. I don't know what to tell you. Probably because I saw Hellraiser when I was 5.
Oh,
what do you want from me?
What year did this one come out?
88. So I was 5.
I mean, the crunching sound in the truck was pretty cool when he put the body in there, and then that.
Well, this is just a trash compactor.
Compactor. That scene where he's
so he goes and dumps after his girlfriend is murdered. He goes and dumps her body in a trash compactor for some reason.
Wait a minute. Did he murder his girlfriend?
No. The gang, the rival gang, killed her with the set of golf
spiders. Was it the spiders?
The spiders. Yes.
Yeah, the spiders.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other couple things that I love, this is like guerrilla filmmaking. So like when they set the mattress on fire, they went and took the mattress out to the middle of the road and set it on fire, and traffic ran into it. And then
it was not their traffic. That's just regular traffic.
No, that's just regular traffic.
Oh, if you do this with permits and stuff. So
that's right. This is like Larry Cohen stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a scene when he's fighting the guy with the nunchucks and the train is running by. You can see the conductor look out the window at them because he's like, "What are these guys doing on my train tracks?" So I absolutely love that.
Wait, but you're recommending the film?
Absolutely, everyone should see this. This is pure filmmaking right here.
As pure as it gets.
It has great gore. It feels absolutely authentic, and you get to see the urban decay of downtown Dayton, Ohio. What more can you ask for, Ralph?
I can't.
I can ask for something. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the notification button, and share and like. Leave a comment. No one's leaving comments other than our brother, who's a jerk. So someone else.
His comment was fine. It was fine.
No, his comment was mean.
Al, anything you're gonna rate this, Al? What's your rating?
Yeah, this is 5 out of 5 nunchucks this week.
Have you?
All your movies have been 5 out of 5.
I was just gonna say they've all rated pretty high.
That's not true. Frankenhooker was 4 out of 5.
Oh, I thought it was 5.
Huh.
Well,
I guess you're only picking your highest rated ones.
This is a perfect film.
Who's got their speaker on? I can hear an echo. So are you only picking the high rated ones, or are you going to give some bad ones?
Do you want me to dive into the trash? I can dive into the trash.
I think I'd like to see where your head goes.
Wait, there is worse than these?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
There's a movie. There's a movie called Red Roses of Passion, which is a early 1960s black and white film, and it's just there's a three rooms in the entire film, and it's just like ladies in negligees for an hour and a half.
Huh. What's the name of that movie?
That one?
Red Roses of Passion. Check it out.
Red Roses of Passion. Well, the whole show tonight's been about love, so that might be one I want to.
Yeah, but love sucks.
I didn't say that.
I hate love. Love's not real.
Wow,
that's pathetic. Yeah, that's what you said.
No.
I
said it's a virus. It's a virus. It makes you feel good at first, and you start getting, why do I feel sick? Something's wrong. So, Al, anything else?
Yep, that's it. It should be streaming on Shudder if you want to watch it.
That one's on Shudder?
Yeah.
I have the Shudder subscription. I should check that out. Will you have a new open next week, Al?
I think I may, yes.
Is a week enough to give you to do that, or what?
Yeah, that's enough. I just need to record some VO and mix it a little bit.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Another good show down the tubes. I mean, on the air. I mean, finished.
Just like love.
Just like love.
Next
week. Next show we'll do.
I'm gonna go up and see my wife and tell her how much I love her.
I think you should.
And here's the thing.
Don't watch out for the snakes. What? I think we lost Sean and Debbie.
Hey, you guys should watch Deadbeat at Dawn as a date movie.
I watched Existence as a date movie, and that movie
that's a good one.
Just about buttholes.
Hey, I just got Videodrome on.
So is Naked Lunch. Have you seen Naked Lunch?
James Woods.
I'm a big
Videodrome. Deborah Harry, James Woods.
Videodrome is great.
He has a VCR in his stomach or something like that.
In his VCR vagina stomach.
Yeah.
Oh God. Are we off, Ralph? Or are we?
Sean's off. Sean.
Well, I know, but are we wrapping up?
Yeah, we're done.
Everybody go see Videodrome.
What's that?
Everyone go see Videodrome.
I think you should. Next week we're going to Spitfire Grill.
Spitfire Grill.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Al.
Even Uncle Al likes that movie.
Wow. Really? Someone gets killed in it, obviously?
Someone get their head cut off?
Only in their hearts.
Oh.
They get a carotid artery slashed or something?
Ralph is not going to like that movie.
There's a lot of grilling.
Maybe The War of the Roses should be one of the movies.
I like that movie. That movie's like that's a documentary.
I bet you do.
That's a documentary, that movie.
Oh, boy.
Or Ralph, My Life in Times.
Hey, this writer might help me out. She said I should put my life down on. I should write it down.
No one would ever believe it.
That's
right. Put down on paper.
That's what makes it fascinating.
Nah, that's not real. That could never happen to anybody.
Now I want to read it.
There you go. Drew's interested. All right, Drew will be on a new set next week, maybe, or a new house, new set.
I'll be in the new house, so it'll look different. I have to.
Good. I'm sick of that neutral background, Drew.
Right. Al will have a new open. Very exciting. I might have 2 more camera angles I'm going to add.
And Debbie and Sean will be unfrozen.
Debbie and Sean. I don't know what happened.
There you are. They're back.
You guys back? What happened?
You're all frozen. You're frozen again.
They're gone. So next week we'll have 2 more angles. Let's see. We'll try a different angle here.
We're really ending on a low note. Okay, so let's.
What are we gonna do? All right. Good job, everybody.